Hello everyone, this is Ether Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. Hopefully this time, the start of the video doesn't corrupt, but let's see what happens. So, this week we have ourselves basically the same defense. Nothing too special here, although called 2 Bolt Towers rarity. Speaking of which, I actually am going to be summoning on this upcoming, I don't know what to call it, we're just going to call it a Mythic Heroes banner because the last one was legendary, so at least I think so, I can't remember now. Yeah, I think it was Faye prior, so they had safe defense, so I'm kind of surprised they didn't snipe down someone turn 1 with Yuri, but you do you kind of deal. And they're just getting set up here. Nothing too special. Or not. Okay, they're just gonna bait with Fallen Edelgard, sure. Self doing a whopping 3 damage into 4. So much damage. Obviously he's not going to be doing anything to Fallen Edelgard, because she primarily invests into defense and Arself is not very invested into attack. But unfortunately for them, Legendary Julia has her AoE special, so she's just going to absolutely annihilate Yuri. And everyone else that was in range is also pretty much dead, so Not's just gonna completely overkill air. And well, a clean 64 damage, I guess. Here comes Bolt Tower, and they decide to just surrender, probably from losing those 2 units. But yeah, not gonna lie, I definitely do prefer AoE Legendary Julia over Glacies, just with the amount of damage reduction going around nowadays. The AoE is just pretty nice, especially in the most ideal scenario. I did end up giving her Fury over Life and Death because she does have okay bulk, if you ignore the -8. You know something is wrong when Legendary Julia is the one taking the Dark Shrine buffs, but, or debuffs, but yeah, well, let's not worry about that. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. They're just going to take out Bramon of Guinevere. Of course, this Bramon is just always getting murdered. He never gets to actually do anything useful most of the time. They decide to keep Guinevere there, which I do find somewhat suspicious. Hit the AoE, and of course we're not going to pick up the kill on Guinevere with an actual attack. We needed much more attack, or damage off the AoE. This is like a situation where Glacies might have been better, but that's just something that you have to calc out and see. In general, I do prefer the AoE. It also tends to chip other units on the enemy team, because people, especially with their like double save units and stuff, typically there's quite a bit of adjacency, so you can get some extra value that Glacies can't provide. But of course, our other units are kind of questionable at actually killing things, so Seliph here, of course, is not going to pick up the one-shots, so he actually would have survived if Duelin was just initiating into him without Vantage on Seliph, so you know, maybe we should try something else than Vantage on Seliph, just for the fun of it. Honestly, Vantage is probably the only thing on Seliph that deters a lot of teams from showing up. Like myself included, I can't beat my own defense just because of Seliph. If you take out Seliph, I can take out my own defense, but Seliph by himself is just... Well, I can win with unit losses, but I'm talking about like a clean win, no losses. Because Seliph with his 2 cooldown Ignis is just too much. And of course Divine Tearfing with Vantage. even with the Bolt Tower chip damage, he still has 27 HP. So Nino being green as well. Also, there's Sylvia with Sudden Panic, so it's even harder for me to set up. So, yeah, not much, not much to say there. But here we are with a double safed team here, double greens, which is kind of interesting in this meta because of all the reds running around, like especially like dual lift. But good Ascended Fjorm can handle a dual lift, not necessarily actually kill, but she can survive. I don't know if that's good enough in general, but they have Ashnard here, of course, for the debuffs, which is super nice, and they just have their safe formation ready. They don't buff because, of course, of Sun Panic. Seliph here is, well, not going to be doing a lot of damage because it's Seliph. So, absolute wreckage by Gustav there. And of course, Knott's not going to do a lot of damage. Plus 27 defense. Yay. But yeah, this team is not designed to deal with near save units, although for some reason half the time we can get Seliph to sometimes beat some Brave Edelguards and whatnot. Typically because they don't have guard on some of them. But the thing with Ascended Fjorm here is that Nils has this B skill called Even Pulse Tie. So if you don't bait turn 1, you're just going to casually lose your special unless of course you have another unit with a pre-charged special. So that's an interesting quirk about this defense. An unironic consequence of me being lazy to change out Nils B slot for like Wings of Mercy or something. It's getting more value than it used to. I remember way back in the day it used to just do stuff like take meme over Ophelia's like AoE specials or something. Now it's actually doing relevant things, but yeah, that's a very weird quirk with Even Pulse Tie. Obviously, Odd Pulse Tie would be better in such an instance, but we're not going to complain, it's all budget. Alright, we have a Legendary Tiki that definitely would want to 1v1 Legendary Julia Kappa. Obviously, they're not going to let that happen, right? Just an easy 2-shot on Bramamon. Yeah, like honestly, Bramamon nowadays is only troublesome for teams like mine, where you're just kind of derping around because you can't deal with Bramamon's just attack stat. Nowadays, a lot of units can just deal with his attack stat because I think my +9 one only hits around maybe 80 something attack. I don't know. But yeah, it's not good. You can't deal with damage reduction or just super heavy res tanks. That's why we run Luna on him, but it's still never enough damage. You're typically never going to one-shot with Luna unless you already have a large attack stat. So basically the whole purpose of the Luna is to do more damage where you need to. But like here, Bramamon gets some value out of Luna. Because otherwise he wouldn't kill here, but pretty sure he kills here. Actually just straight up doubled his damage or something. That's just a coincidence. But unfortunately, Legendary Tiki, not enough for the likes of Bramamon. And they honestly can probably still win this, I would imagine, because Seliph is probably not one-shotting Seliph, or one-shotting Raphael. But it looks like, since he doesn't have his special, that's not going to happen. And they do avoid getting Self danced, which is great for them. He can't get dance at this point, but I'm not entirely sure what they're waiting for. Actually, they're probably waiting for getting healed up. Because obviously, if Raphael gets to quad, he's just going to kill, period. He probably just can't tank the Ignis right now. But there we go, he just 2 shots here. There was also the dagger debuff from air. Not sure if that actually mattered. But at this point, they should be able to clean up. It is turn 7, so, you know, missteps are always a thing, but nah, you should be able to clean this up pretty easily. And there we go. Just a solid Brave Build plus shenanigans. Get the job done. And well, here we go again with Ascended Fjorm. We're gonna see a few of her this week. Very reliant on her special. Let's just put it that way. And it would be a shame if she didn't have a very large HP stat. Like she's straight up 20 HP below nils. Feels bad, man. I do have a dual core in here. I'm definitely considering as a long-term project maybe going to +10 dual Corin. Specifically just because she is a ranged cav that doubles. That's just going to be valuable in general, even far down the line. The thing that's going to hold her back is, of course, she doesn't have any special acceleration, her bulk is somewhat questionable, and of course, damage reduction, which is the whole point. Which, of course, right now, she's able to hang in there, especially in Ether raids, because she gets the extra stats to, like, take a counter and perhaps quad. That's another thing. She doesn't have a guaranteed quad. It's just it's like old school Reinhardt days where you just have to have enough speed to quad, but yeah. This Ascended Fjorm is not going to do too well against Julia's AoE special. Absolute overkill. And now everyone else is weakened. Even Sylvia can pick up a kill. Pog. Yeah, that's the real value of the AoE special. Like, even Nils is picking up a kill. Of course it's against Uller, but... Nils picking up a kill since when? That reminds me of a really old Ether Raids match where I think Nils got a kill on one of my units on offense. It was pretty bad. And well, you would guess it, here we go again. Another Ascended Fjorm. Who would have thought? Like, when everything's going well for Fjorm, he does okay. Of course, the #1 problem is always damage output. So that's why people like running Ice Mirror, but then you seriously sacrifice your survivability. And well, I think we all know what the problem is here. There's also an ironic coincidence that they both have 39 visible res, so you know, Legendary Julia's AoE special is going to do the same amount. But you know, this can just be this scenario here can just be prevented. If they didn't have Ascended Fjorm in range right next to Brave Edelgard, then the AoE special wouldn't proc on Ascended Fjorm, but they didn't move their units correctly, so this happened. Of course, I'm pretty sure their intent was they did see the even pulse tie, so they knew they should probably go in turn 1 to have her Ice Mirror still up. But honestly speaking, it wouldn't even be necessary. You can just, I mean, Legendary Julia is blue, Ascended Fjorm is green. As long as she doesn't take that AoE special damage, she's pretty set. So awkward. And here we go with Brave Erica, Brave Hector, Duolin and company. Column 5 Bolt Tower. Someone doesn't like those, what are they called? I actually don't know. I guess you could have it in column 5 against some variants of harmonized Catria shenanigans. I don't know why you would care about that though. I guess maybe the far save unit. I guess the near save unit could cause trouble for Brave Erica as well, especially if she gets one shot on the counter, which is not uncommon for Brave Erica, unfortunately. See what they do here. They got the Bolt Tower chip damage, which honestly is unnecessary here, but I think it was more of just a setup thing, because like Brave Erica was one round KOing Legendary Julia regardless, so it really didn't matter there. Now I have Brave Hector ready to bait out some units. Of course, Nod is not ever going to do anything relevant against Brave Hector, just because we can chip him down like this to a decent amount, but no one else can really attack. So there's no real follow-up, and Air's just gonna help Brave Hector heal back up and whatnot. Selov gets his Ignis off thanks to Steady Breath, but doesn't pick up the one shot, of course. So he's just gonna get absolutely obliterated. Fantastic. Bramamond, of course, not going to stand a chance here. Yeah, Bramamond nowadays, his only real value is, I guess, in like Wings of Mercy shenanigans, kind of like mine, but in a much different defense archetype, and like harmonized Catria balls, or some variants of it, just because he needs to be able to attack a ton of times, especially against damage reduction. So this is what you gotta do with Bramamon. I just have Bramamon at +9 because I was summoning for, what was it, Duma? I was summoning for Duma, right? I'm pretty sure I was summoning for Duma, but anyways, it's Brave Hector time. Of course, one big thing with AoE Legendary Julia is that against like these kind of Brave Hectors, she does much worse. Of course, when there's Flame here, Glacies doesn't do any better because she's never going to one-shot. But yeah, Murray's just going to absolutely obliterate Sulliff. Not like he's ever gonna do anything relevant there because he can't proc Ignis. Not fully charged Ignis is 0 out of 10. Someday I'll pull some ridiculous witchcraft to get turn 1 Ignis Sulliff, even though he's basically close to the top of the infantry pulse ladder. Yeah. At least Bramamon does a good amount of damage, so that's about it. Because of course he doesn't care about Flame. But here, Legendary Julia does clean up. The thing about AoE Legendary Julia is that if Brave Hector has a ton of visible res, it's just much worse. But here we go again. All that chip damage. A lot of their units are super weak right now, super easy to one-shot. And so they're going to take out Sylvia here. That helps get rid of Sudden Panic as well. But Myrrh is up against Knot, and let me tell you, that does not seem like a great matchup. So yeah, that's not going to work out. And, well, Nils being Nils, can't take out Uller from full HP, feels bad. That's how it goes, and the classic 7th slot Bramamon just trailing behind by like 23 miles. That Bramamon never does anything relevant, unless someone allows him to be relevant. That's pretty much it. Nice 112 damage there, and yeah, it should just be easy cleanup if they want to take the match. Because of course they did drop a couple of units. Looks like they don't even go for the ether structures. Granted, I believe this is close to the end of the week, so I guess it doesn't matter. And what do you know? It's more Brave Hector. It's almost like there's a big pattern. Although this is the Sacred Cowl variant, so of course the name of the game is be budget. Ascended Fjorm. He's not even running Hardy Fighter, which is basically objectively better for armored unit. Well, it's not completely objectively better because sometimes in some niche scenarios you do want enemy units with guaranteed follow-up attacks to actually double you, but we're not gonna worry about this. For the most part, Hardy Fighter is just objectively better than Shield Pulse for the average armored unit trying to use defensive specials. But they do have Pulse Tie here on Brave Lucina, which is nice. But unfortunately for them, they kind of didn't put Dogger in range of Brave Hector. That's just a kill. Not entirely sure if that's just an intentional sack just to be nice, or they just goofed or mistapped or something. It happens to all of us, definitely myself included. Speaking of mistaps, this week on offense, as you might have seen at the beginning, we did pretty decent on offense, and as you can see, we've been doing alright on defense as well. Offense, questionable. Let's put it that way. We did win every match, but there were 3 matches where in each match we sacked the unit. I'm pretty sure 2 of them were just unforced errors, just me being silly. One of them, I baited a Sothis with Milla, but miscalced. So Sothis was actually able to one-run KO Milla, so I was like, well, this is awkward. Another one, what was the second time? I don't remember the second time up right now, but the third one, I was up against a cab line of sorts with double knots, and I decided to be absolutely silly and not count correctly. So, I just left Caden in range of the green Mage Cav Olin with Thunderhead and the Refine, and there were double waves to buff her up. So, Caden just got sniped down because I only made that play because I was sure that Caden was outside of Olwen's range, but he wasn't because I can't count tiles correctly. So L. And for the last replay for now, what do you know? It's another such a Fjorm. Who would have thought? Oh, I remember the second one now. The second one was I just miscalced Nino being able to survive a Lysithia Moonbow. It was already going to be a close margin because, of course, Lysithia has a pretty solid attack stat. She gets plus 10 attack on initiation and having her special up. So, and she was running, I think she was running Death Blow 4 and Death Blow 3 or something. She had a lot of attack. I calced it out. I didn't calc it out correctly, so Nino got one shot and it was kind of awkward, but we were able to clean up afterwards, which was fine. But here you can see, again, even pulse tie stonks. Ascended Fjorm, once again, they leave adjacent to Uller, who's going to be the target of the attack. Again, this doesn't need to happen. You could just casually have your far save unit 2 spaces away, but nope. That's just people sabotaging themselves. At least, you know, Brave Edelgard wasn't within 2 spaces because she reasonably could have gotten one shot by not here, I think. At least how much res does she have? Actually, no, I don't think she would have gotten one shot. But, yeah, that's just really an unforced error kind of deal. But now there's Bramamon chilling on the left, ready to get danced. And you basically have to gamble that the trap is fake, which, of course, for anyone who's been watching these replays long enough knows that it's fake, but you still have to be able to then tank the dancers with whoever you attack with, and Uller does not have great bulk. But, Brave Edelgard is now the target for Bramamon because he picked up the 1-round KO by a decent margin. 55 is pretty, considering the 80% damage reduction, that is a pretty solid margin. And he picks up another kill in classic Bramamon fashion. Like, this is the only reason why Bramamon is remotely useful on defense, because he can pretty much 1-round KO a bunch of these support units or mythics or whatnot. But against main tanks and whatnot, nah, he basically needs them to actually not be that bulky on the res side, not have a lot of HP and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, the thing that really holds Bramamon back is Void Tome proc conditions, especially for the guaranteed fall of attack. I believe he needs the enemy to be debuffed or have more than 35 visible speed. I think. Let's check out this Bramamon to check real quick. Yeah. So that definitely is a huge problem, especially against since a lot of tank units nowadays are still generally pretty slow. There's like Ascended Fjorm and whatnot, but overall this week we did pretty solid. Did all right. A solid defense showing this week. Really shouldn't have happened, but that's how it goes. Next season, I mean, we're going to get absolutely obliterated on defense, and not sure what we're going to do about it. Did pick up Ascended Leg Yarn for free, so we're probably going to try chucking her on defense. See how little she does. And, oh wow, it's actually still hanging in there. Interesting. We might actually have a chance because like 12 hours ago or something we had 60 or 70 ranks, and then I checked like an hour or two ago and there was like 19 ranks left or something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you know, maybe, just maybe, we might actually stay. Because the thing is, you do need to be able to have a roll at least a 764 to get a better score than this. So it is somewhat demanding, but this team here that I used for arena this week, pretty brain damage. Actual brain damage, definitely much more difficult than my usual runs, but so difficult that we are actually running reciprocal aid on Valbar, so we have a source of healing. But his HP pool is super nice. He has a 66 HP in arena, so that's super nice for healing up someone back to full. And well, Arena Assault, we just got memed on RNG, but we should make top 1k with this score. Be genuinely surprised if this doesn't hold for top 1k, because this is a pretty high score for top 1k standards. But yeah, we got, again, memed on RNG with the matchmaker. Kept getting min rolls during the run, but not too big of a deal. And last thing before we wait for the results. You don't see it here, but we actually did stay in Tier 21 Dark Major again. So I don't know if it's permanent, but I think that's 2 seasons in a row where we actually did it. Stayed in Tier 21 Dark Major. So we might temporarily be set for staying in Tier 21 Mjolnir Strike permanently. Again, we are going to be summoning for the last copy of last Bramamon to +10 my Bramamon on this upcoming banner because there's Legendary Corrin, who I can either merge up or use as fodder because she does have joint drive attack. But there's also Legendary Micaiah. I don't have her, so if I have her, that's 40 Dragon Flowers, more hero merit, and a decent arena assault unit at the very worst. Even if she's like minus attack or something, she's still going to do perfectly fine. So yeah, hopefully it takes less than 400 orbs. Worst comes to worst, it can take up to like 800 or even 1,000 if you're absolutely getting memed on. But you know, hopefully between 200 and 400 orbs. That's my budget. Hopefully we don't even need that many. Maybe it takes just 100 or something. But yeah, we'll just make a video for that just because it's probably not going to be long enough of a summoning session to be worth streaming or something. But anyways, enough rambling. We'll be back when the results drop in. Well, let's see how we did here. Not even top 500, 0 out of 10, but it was a good showing this week. This week's going to be terrible on offense. I don't know who's going to be my carry because usually this is like the only season that is awkward because it's wind and fire. If it's earth season, I'll use like Legendary Julia. If it's water season, I'll use Legendary Chrono. I don't know who's going to be my carry. I do have Astra Bless heroes like Marianne, but she's not too great because her defense is super low. But from what I saw in Arena, we were demoting, which by like 20 ranks or something, which is unfortunate, but that's how it goes. Unironically, it's kind of a benefit to us because the next upcoming bonus season, we don't really have anyone to use to stay in tier 21. I would probably have to like build up Kaze, give him like C-dual infantry 3, like something ridiculous. So we're not gonna do that. It's a 3-week season, so us dropping here is actually beneficial because then that means we can get back into tier 21 for the start of the next bonus rotation, which is kind of ironic because we were trying to stay. But yep, cutoff last season was somewhere slightly below 3,870, so the fact that you needed a 764 to stay in is indicative of just who the bonus units were. As for defense, I mean we're kicking out someone. We're gonna try using Leg Yarn. She's probably not gonna do very well, but we're gonna hope she does okay. Not much to say there. We can just do this. We're literally only gonna be running Bolt Tower, so we should be good on space. And we'll keep column 4 open since that's the #1 most used column. I wish I had open, but I always put a bonus structure there kind of deal. So Crom's leaving. Liv is bonus, so he has to be not 7th slot. Probably just kick out Lara Shell, not gonna lie. She never really does too much. It's more of she's deterrent for some strategies, because some people will be like, maybe I want to try and vantage this, but then, you know, the only real place you can vantage from is like over here, unless you have Null Sea Disrupt as well, like Winter Altina. But yeah, we're gonna try kicking out Lara Shell and seeing what the heck happens to our defense. The thing though is kind of where do we put Leg Yarn if we want to have Rouse Attack Speed 4 active? We can't really do that. Might have to do something jank like give Home Cav or Fort Cav to someone. Not entirely sure what we're gonna do yet, but we'll figure that out off camera here. So anyways, that's gonna be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye.